So today we're going to go over some of the design features of our new gauge pod systems for the Land Rover Discovery 2s. And we will do a quick installation walkthrough as well as give you some tips on how to prevent the common cracking on the factory gauge binnacle and the cracking that happens back here and here as well. So of course, one of the things about gauge pods is there's just dozens of different styles on the market, from the simple stick a gauge on top of the dash ones to the fancy integrated A-pillar ones, and now we're beginning to see some designs to integrate into the main instrument pod of the binnacle. I never really liked the stuck on top of the dash look, and of course, not only does no one make an A-pillar cover with a gauge pod integrated for early Land Rovers, but we have a tweeter from the factory there that I would not want to give up. So when I decided to start running an external gauge, I wanted something that would be easy to install, but would look more like it was designed for the vehicle. As I started thinking about it, I decided it might be a good idea to have it angle adjustable so that the person sitting in the instrument, in the vehicle, could change the angle to face them depending on their seating position. So that's how we came up with this two-piece design, where we have a separate mounting bracket that is angle adjustable from the actual gauge pod. You can see when it mounts here, you're able to change the angle. And we'll show you more about that a little bit later. So, of course, one of the things you need for a gauge pod is a wiring port to route the wires through. So we've molded in an integrated wiring port to make that easy. We designed the pod to fit very closely to the shape of the binnacle because there really isn't much room for it between the A-pillar and the binnacle. The pods are made from quality heat-resistant plastic and molded in this white color to allow customers to prime and paint them to match their interior color. Fortunately, most D2s came with instrument binnacles in either gray, black, or Bahama beige, so we have been able to identify some of the off-the-shelf aerosol paints that match the factory colors very closely. I will post them in the comments section. So let's have a look at how these are installed. Okay, so the next step in mounting your gauge pod is to drill the holes for the mounting bracket here. And so we've included a template. This is adhesive back template for mounting, for basically drilling your holes. And I'll show you what you need to do is you need to cut it out around the outline of this diagram, and then you'll stick it onto your binnacle and then drill your holes right in the spots we indicate. Okay, so now I've got my decal cut out and I've applied it to my my binnacle. And what you want to do is you want to align it with the, we've got it shaped so this edge right here aligns with the flat before you enter the radius on this side. We made in this corner, and you come up here to this part, at the tip of that pointed triangle, and then align it along the edge here of the curve. And when you do that, you just need to put your two holes right where we've indicated, 11/64 drill bit. Now, when you're drilling this, be careful. Don't put a lot of pressure. This is very brittle. You want to have light pressure drilling that hole so that when your holes, so you don't break it out or make a larger hole than you need to. Also, you probably want to go ahead and remove this switch from your binnacle because we're gonna penetrate very close to that. It actually doesn't touch it, but it's just a good idea to remove that switch. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes, and we'll show you what we get at the end. Okay, so now I've finished drilling my holes, and I actually took the liberty also. I used Dremel, and I cut a little notch in the binnacle right here. I'm going to run my wires from my gauge under that little notch. What you can see is we've got a hole in the back of the gauge pod for your wires to come out, and then I want to put them in under my binnacle, so I've notched it right there. You could notch it just about anywhere, but that's a good position. I'm not going to indicate that on the decal because different people may want to do different things with their wires, but that's what I decided to do with mine. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put your mount on the binnacle for the gauge pod. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and assemble our gauge pod to our instrument binnacle. You can see we've got two different length screws, and we're going to mount our pod mount to the binnacle. So I'm going to start with the small screw, and it goes towards the pointy end of the teardrop. And we're going to I'm going to start it like this. You're going to need a small end wrench for the screw, and I'm just going to tighten this down. Not too tight. It's all plastic, so you don't want to, over tighten it. You just need to get it tight enough so that it doesn't rotate on you. Okay. And then the large screw actually goes into the mounting bracket. It doesn't secure the mounting bracket to the, well, it does secure the mounting bracket to the, but you can see it just slips in. That's because it actually screws into the pod itself, and that's where the tension comes from that allows us to rotate the pod. And of course, because the binnacle blocks our screws in the optimal location, we have to use the end wrench. You can't really use a screwdriver, unfortunately. And you got to watch me sort of tighten it slowly here, but it only takes a minute. And I'll show you once we get it tight, snugged it down, how you can adjust. What you do is you tighten it snug enough so you adjust the rotation tension of the gauge pod, and then you can set the angle to whatever angle you want it, in the truck. And it might be a little bit of trial and error, but you'll get it there, and then you can tighten it up, and it won't move on you after that. So I've almost got it tight, and you can see I can easily rotate my pod. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put a little tension on it so that it does not rotate freely like that. Still a little bit loose. Probably could use a little more tension, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten another, maybe quarter turn. There we go. Yep, that's just what I want. And so now you can see, you've got the ability to adjust the angle once it's in the truck like that, right? Okay, so the other thing about the instrument binnacle cowl on your D2 is typically these retention tabs are broken off. The cowl overall is very brittle, and this is a frequent breakage point. But since we're here anyway doing our gauge pod install, I'm going to show you how to repair that pretty easily. So what you want to do is you want to take some masking tape, and you're just going to make a little loop with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to, what you want to do is you want to fit it inside of that that sort of missing spot. You don't have to be precise with it, right? So I'm just going to sort of make it fit to shape, fit the hole, so to speak. And then once you get it in there, you'll need to, so yeah, something like this. And then you can kind of just, make it flip up a little bit. And so once you get it in there, what you're going to do is you're going to use a Loctite PL3X to cover up that gap. So here's the product we use. It bonds really well to plastic. It basically has a plastic consistency, and it'll make it a permanent repair. So what you can see here I've done is I've roughed up the surface a little bit with some, I actually used a Dremel with a little wire brush on the end, but you can use sandpaper or whatever. Rough up this surface, and then you want to apply the PL3X over the top and the sides so that it bonds to the remaining sides here, and makes you a fills up this space. And then once you're done, you can pull out the paper. Now, one of the important things to do as you're doing this is you need to flame treat the plastic to get a good bond for the PL3X. Injected molded plastics have oils in the resins, and the oils are constantly being secreted out of the resins, out of the pores of the resins. And what flame treating it does is it burns that oil off, and it allows your PL3X to get a good bond to the plastic. And here's how I flame treat it. You can use a lighter, just a regular cigarette lighter if you want, or a grill lighter. But basically, you just kind of wave it over for a second and burn off that resin that's just like that. And now you're ready to put the PL3X on it. So I've actually done it. I'm not going to do it on this one at the moment because we've got it already done. But I'll show you what the results look like on one of my other cowls that I have done it. And so you can see I've put the PL3X here on this cowl, and it's repaired. The other thing to mention, of course, on our instrument binnacles is they're almost always broken here. Now this one you can see wasn't cracked on the front yet, but the back of the bolt hole is cracked out. They almost all are. Again, this is a very brittle part. What you want to do is do the same thing, flame treat the back of it, and then fill all of this area in with your PL3X, and that will reinforce this part of the instrument binnacle so that when you put your screws in, it won't crack and it won't break over time. So you can see I've done that here. So I'll close out this video by showing you how to find the new gauge pod on the website. So if you're on the home page, there's a couple options. One, if you just scroll down, it's one of our 2 new featured products, that along with the dual electric radiator fan wiring kit. But if you don't do that, you can always go to shop, and under area, it will be in the interior section. And of course, under vehicle, it will be in the D2 section. So we're going to look at area, and we're going to go to interior, and there it is. And you can click right there and, read more about it on the website and click to buy. Be sure to post and let me know if there's any questions in the comments.